What's up, Buttercups? Welcome to Mean Age Daydream with me, your host, Brian McWilliams, here at the Lions of Liberty Network. Well, it's a bit of an off-putting day, I'll say that, to talk about the number one topic that I want to get into today, which is the trial of Lindsay Clancy. Now, Lindsay Clancy is a former mother, and I say former because, as many of you probably already know, this is a woman who killed all three of her children. Her husband went out to, run an errand, fuel up the car. There's actually video of him getting the phone call from her where everything seems fine, only to come home, find the bedroom door locked, and kicks the door in. She is out the window where she apparently tried to kill herself. And he asked where the kids are. She says, in the basement. In the basement, the children have all been strangled with resistance bands. An unbelievable story. Just as a father of two young kids, and I'm sure every other parent out there, well, not every parent, as we're going to talk about in a minute, but to think about that happening, to think about coming home and having something like that be what you find is beyond horrifying. Honestly, I find it shocking that this woman is still alive, because were it me, knowing that I would probably go to jail, because then they'd be like, he did it. No, if it was me, I probably would have murdered my wife. If I came home to find my three children strangled to death in the basement and she did it. She did it. She said she did it. She admitted to doing it. And yet she's pleading not guilty. Well, like I said, if I came and murdered her, then of course they'll be like, "Oh my God, this dad killed his whole family," and then that's a whole thing. Maybe that's why he didn't do it. But now the phenomenon of TikTok has once again reared its head, because this woman is currently on trial. You can see the ongoing updates, and she is pleading not guilty, basically saying, well, it's because of the combination of drugs that were in my system. And there were 4 different drugs that they found in her system. I'm not going to list them off, but they were for different, postpartum, which I know a lot of women deal with. Again, I don't know. I'm a man. I don't know what it's like, but I'll tell you, I don't really care what it's like. It doesn't warrant killing your 3 children. But something for, anxiety, something for depression, something for bipolar disorder, and something to help with this postpartum depression. So she did have a lot of drugs in her system. And yes, we do know that these drugs have proven to be a factor in a lot of killings in the past, especially when we're talking about younger people going on killing sprees. Of course, not to get into the transgender issue, but there's a lot of factors involved here in how these drugs impact your body, your mind, your receptors in your brain, and how they can alter your reality. However, according to the experts, and again, take this with a grain of salt, because these people are obviously biased, in my opinion. This was not a concoction that would have been suicidal. This is not a concoction that had known side effects that combined to make somebody kill their children. And the thing that's most disturbing about this is not just that this father now has to go and live his life knowing that his wife killed his 3 children. And they're adorable little kids. I mean, it's hard for me to even talk about, because it's so awful thinking about my own children. But it's that now, because this woman is saying, well, it was postpartum depression combined with these drugs, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I guess she had written down suicidal thoughts in a diary, and that she was having so much trouble and she couldn't sleep and she had brain fog. Well, welcome to be a parent, number one. That's what happens when you're a parent. You do not get enough sleep. Yes, the baby's crying a lot. Trust me, I've had those experiences. I have definitely said, my God, this kid is driving me up the fucking wall, and I'm getting real pissed off here, and I have no sleep, and I don't know what to do, and there's no answers, because sometimes there are no answers. You don't know what the kid wants. The kid can't speak. But to take this type of action is unforgivable, and it's indefensible. Yet, there's a whole movement on TikTok of wacky ass dipshit women who are taking the side of this woman and saying, same Lindsay. This is like a hashtag, same Lindsay, of mothers standing with their children in TikTok videos and shaking their head like, oh my God, I want to kill this baby. That is sick to a level that I can't even describe. That is a sickness in a culture. That's a sickness in a phenomenon. It's a sickness in social media. This comes at the exact same time where a study just came out showing, and we already know the studies, by the way, on youth and how bad TikTok, how bad short form, how bad being online all the time is for youth, for brain development. Well, the new study just came out showcasing that even in adults, specifically TikTok style short form scroll content videos, degrade your brain. Literally, it changes how you think. It is not good for you. And this woman, I'm not saying this is a direct cause and effect here, but this woman, she's like, I have no time. Well, how many hours did you spend a day scrolling TikTok? I'm sure it's quite a few. But now you have this entire other cadre of women posting videos with their baby saying, same Lindsay, a woman who killed her 3 children, strangled them to death while the father wasn't home, saying, holding their baby, same Lindsay. Now that's a narcissistic sickness that is incomparable. Because number one, it's not just the fact that you are posting this. It's not just the fact that you're sharing that you might have the same murderous ideology, that I'm saying murderous thoughts about your child, but you're posing and sharing this online. Why? Because you want attention, because you want sympathy, because you want clicks and you want likes. That's narcissism to a next level. But apart from that, think about the fact that if your kid, let's hope that they all grow up and they don't get murdered by their parents. If you're this kid, you're later in life, oh, mom, let's see these videos. Oh, which one are you popular? And the internet's forever, people. The internet is forever. Somewhere there will be this video, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's been ported to another platform, whether it's been screen grabbed and shared by other people, which is the way I'm seeing these things on X. You're that kid. And you're like, oh, great. Thanks, mom. Thanks for sharing a video with the world about how you wanted to kill me when I was a kid. And not only that, but these women are donating to a GoFundMe, I guess, towards her lawyer fees. I don't know what it is, but this is almost to $1 million. There are enough women out there that instead of saying, wow, what an evil goblin demon woman this is to kill her children, you know what? Instead of that, I'm going to send her money because I get it. I understand. And some of them are even saying that she's innocent and blaming the husband, because this is what happens when you have these situations. You get one stupid ass influencer that throws out some cockamamie theory. I know all these women are buying into it. They're going down the rabbit hole of stupidity. And they're going down the rabbit hole, as I said, of narcissism and self-pity. Instead of just saying, life has hard times, right? Life has ups and downs. Life is difficult. You had a kid. You knew it was going to be tough. Raising a child is hard. It has any number of difficulties. I remember this, one guy tweeted out, and it's a great quote, that as a parent, you go through every range of human emotion before 9 a.m. And that is absolutely accurate. Every single emotion you go through: love, hate, anger, adoration, frustration, confusion. You go through them all because kids are hard. But your job as a parent is to be that even keel. Your job as a parent is to get them to live, number one, first and foremost, not to get sympathy for what you did, which is an unforgivable act that has now destroyed the lives of 3 young children, ended the lives of 3 young children, destroyed the life of your husband, destroyed the life of your family, your friends, his family, his friends. Everybody around you has now been inextricably changed because of your act. You cannot separate what you did from the rest of their lives. And for the sickness out there of these TikTok-riddled women that just have such a disconnect from reality to go out there and try to pretend, oh, this is okay. And to the point where there's people on TikTok hanging out the window, reenacting what this woman did after she murdered her children in support of the woman. I mean, I'm against censorship laws. England's got their no TikTok, no whatever for children under the age of 16. Make it for all women. Repeal the 16th for women. Repeal the 19th for women. I mean, this is insane. But now it's like everything in society, no matter how heinous, apparently can be defended. Let's segue into the Jason Arde scandal. Jason Arde, of course, the disgraced professor, quote, professor at Cambridge, who was a complete charlatan, a serial liar, who talked about all these ridiculous aspects of his life, running 30 marathons in 35 days, including one on a broken leg, clearly a lie, running 600 miles, and whatever. And it's just absurd lies, having epilepsy, autism, a brain tumor, all these other things, having been beaten up by children, and then later on meeting those kids and having his parents come around being confident, like all these ridiculous lies that were really obvious falsehoods on their face, on top of saying that he was dyslexic and couldn't read until 11, and then somehow managed to cobble together an education, graduate high school, like just ridiculous. A serial plagiarist to a degree that I don't think academia has ever seen before, including taking typos for the headline of his thesis. Had a stolen typo from someone else's thesis, someone else's paper, and it was actually correct in the other paper. It was a possessive at the end of teachers, but when he cribbed it over, he didn't realize that you can't use it that way. This guy kills himself. Look, RIP. I'm not here to dance on his grave, although I will say, similar to this woman, he left 2 children behind. And suicide is an act of cowardice, especially in this case, which I do not accept. But the media and liberals are now going out and defending this guy. Politicians are defending this man and saying this is a racist witch hunt. Ibram X. Kendi, one of the biggest grifters ever, is saying that this is somehow a racist front, and how dare we go after this black academic, and this is a double standard. No, it's not a double standard. What are you talking about? If this was any average white man, he would have never sniffed Cambridge. Not even gotten close. But now, and they just held a rally, by the way, a rally for him in London, which grew just tens of thousands of people, imbeciles that are buying the lie that this is a racist attack rather than a man exposed for the fraud he was, who then showed everybody out there just how much of a coward he was as well by taking his own life and leaving a wife and 2 children behind. You made your bed, you now lie in it. You got where you were from lying and from academia wanting to prop up a black, look everybody, we got one. Isn't he amazing? I'm sorry, you live with the consequences of those actions. But they have this rally out there, which I thought was very ironic because any number of the people there, I'm sure, lied to their employer about where they were in order to be there today, which is funny because Jason Arday lied to his employer about everything he'd accomplished. But there's a new law that's been proposed in the UK because they said that he killed himself due to the unbelievable amount of media scrutiny. And there was some stat thrown out by a newspaper that 255 articles were written about him in the 22 days before his death. You think? No shit. Because the darling child that had been in something like 26 different BBC interviews alone, the profile of all these different pieces, a man who had Simon & Schuster just release a book, by the way, that he wrote, and whatever the excerpts I've seen is comically terrible. Of course, people are going to write about him when he's exposed as the fraud that he is. When the story finally comes out, by the way, which was killed earlier because Cambridge threatened to sue a newspaper called I believe it was called the Educational Herald or something like that. They sued them to get this to stop being published, and the paper said, "Okay, fine, we're not going to publish it." This was a paper focused on higher education. This wasn't a bullshit rag. It wasn't. This isn't the Mirror in the UK. No, this was an educational publication that had exposed the amount of plagiarism that this guy had partaken in. Cambridge threatens to sue him, so it gets squashed for 2 years, and then it comes out. Yes, when you have the golden child, now is not a golden child at all. He's just a piece of pyrite. He's a rock wrapped in tinfoil. You're going to have a lot of media coverage. You, the academic media, you, the broader mainstream media, you leftist and DEI-focused people, you are the reason he got so much attention in the first place. So you cannot now complain and cry when it comes back threefold when he's exposed as a liar. And I'm sorry. So this law, by the way, would limit how many pieces of coverage any one person can have in a certain amount of time, which is idiotic on its face. How are you supposed to decide who it is? Does this mean that any independent media are barred from writing about it because only the top 20 publications in the UK are allowed to write about it? Any person. How are you going to police it? Well, I mean, we know because the UK arrests people for memes. So I guess we know how they're going to police it. But it's just so stupid that it's even being proposed. And it's because we have to protect people like him. What does that mean? Protect liars, protect charlatans, protect fraudsters, protect any number of people that are committing horrible acts because they what? Might kill themselves eventually? How are you supposed to know that? And also, I'm sorry, but that doesn't make any sense. If you're going to take your own life because of this action, you're going to do it regardless. You cannot control what comes out. You cannot control what facts are presented because of a potential negative outcome to the person who perpetrated whatever crimes, whatever frauds have been put out there. What is this? Fucking suicide pre-crime? It's just unbelievable. You know, I've said this before, but it's a post-reality world because so many people will die on a hill. And I've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it again. My bad people theory. So many people propped him up and defended him and continue to defend him that they can never admit that he was a piece of shit. They'll never admit it. This Clancy, this Lindsay Clancy woman, all of these women are choosing to die on the most ridiculous hill. As I said, putting your video out there of you holding a baby saying, same Lindsay? You're telling me they're ever going to back off that hill? You're telling me they're ever going to go, you know what, that was pretty fucked up. I should never have done that. That was insane of me to do. We have lived through thousands and thousands of years of mothers raising their children. And you know what? Almost all of them don't murder their kids. This woman has a problem, okay? You could say, well, you know, a lot of women go through the same thing. Well, they don't go through that exact same thing, do they? A lot of us had thoughts that we'd like to kill people from time to time. I can tell you, I go through every day of my life thinking, God, I'd like to kill that person. But I don't because I'm a human being with a logical thinking brain, and I'm a human being that knows there's repercussions, and also a human being that has equal parts love as I do for the hatred side of my body. This woman had a problem. She's a psychopath. What she did is heinous and unforgivable, period. That's it, flat out. If it had been a man, if it was the husband, would these women be dangling out the fucking window? Would they be saying, same Lindsay? No. And you never see men doing that either. I'm sorry, you would not see a man go out there and say, yeah, I wish I could murder my kids too. No, you would not do that because a man would not do that. And also they wouldn't be getting sympathy. They wouldn't be getting thousands and thousands of dollars gifted to them. And every single mom out there would go, this is a disgusting, horrible act. What a terrible man. I mean, there's a story of a guy that just burned his whole family to death in their house. Where's his GoFundMe? Where are his sympathy videos? I don't see any women standing around with fire in their hands by the window of their children's playroom going, ha, same John. No, because it's psychotic to fucking do that. TikTok, ruining women's brains, narcissism. It's mind-blowing to me that society has gotten to this point where this is what you're defending. The worst people in the world is what you people are defending out there. Like, God damn, get a grip. Are there not people in the world to shame you about this? Like, I'm going to log on to TikTok and just start shaming the shit out of these people that are posting these videos. I haven't been on TikTok in years. I'm going to go on just to attack these people because they deserve it. You need to have people that check you in your life. And people are so scared and they're such wimps and such idiots and everybody's supposed to get along to go along. Nobody's wanting to call anybody out anymore. Call these people out for the pieces of garbage they are. A man's 3 children are dead. Like, how dare you? You Charlie Kirk's death celebrating shits. I guarantee it's the exact same people. Garbage. All right, next topic. So speaking of garbage, there was a California lawmaker that there's a couple good California stories today because California is psychotic. California Democrats had tried to push forward a bill, which fortunately failed because of mass public outcry against it, which would have invented a new term in order to release criminals that commit crimes. And it was called crimes of necessity. Crimes of necessity. This, of course, is a direct assault on private property rights because a crime of necessity, by the definition of California Democrats, is something like stealing to feed your family or because you needed it. Maybe you needed a car to get to work. Maybe you needed to steal, 18 Bud Lights and some Slim Jims to feed the kids. Whatever it is, crime and necessity. Now, of course, how do you think the crimes of necessity would have been allocated? I can almost assure you it would have been allocated to the same exact people that these people cater to all the time, which is your average, DEI candidate that's committing these crimes, which, by the way, we already have in California on the books still, even though we voted to repeal it, but Gavin Newsom somehow vetoed it through chicanery. But the $950 you can steal from any store in the world or any store in California and get a misdemeanor, so the cops don't even bother to go enforce these things. People just are constantly stealing here in California. But to say that a crime of necessity enables you to get out of jail free, what message does that send? How are you supposed to run a business? How are you supposed to run a store? How are you supposed to have an operating society if you can forgive per, whatever activist judge of your choosing, you can forgive wanton acts of theft saying, well, he needed it. Yeah, we all need things. Guess what? I need to go to the store and get food for my children all the time. I need to get gasoline at the Costco. I need to go, any number of things. I need things all the time. We all need things all the time, Democrats. Are these crimes of necessity then if I start doing it willy-nilly? No, they'll throw my ass in jail because I'm not one of the favored people. You're asking for full-scale societal collapse when you excuse theft and acts of affronts to private property rights. Thank God that got voted down. But I'll tell you two more things that just happened in California. Number one, we have we have the highest homeless population. It continues to grow because we have a homeless industrial complex here where NGOs, the grifters of the world, get paid millions of dollars from our government in order to do nothing. To give out drugs, to give out needles, to give out blankets, to build affordable homes for the homeless, which the homeless don't want, by the way. They don't want them. That's why they're homeless. These people are offered, factually, beds, food, money, cell phones, rehab programs, you name it. There's every resource imaginable available to you as a homeless person, including housing, long-term housing. These people are offered this all the time, and they say no. Half of them because they're crazy, half of them because they're drug addicts, and they just don't want to have to live under the rules of a society. Period, flat out, that's it. But yet, we have all these homeless here, and it keeps growing. I wonder why, with all those incentives in place. But California over COVID became so overrun. There were homeless encampments everywhere you would look. Every underpass was covered in tents and shit and feces. By the way, there's a big typhus outbreak downtown California or downtown Los Angeles because of the homeless population. Surprise. They finally took some steps to clean things up. And this was actually led predominantly by the sheriff's department, which again it's a separate entity from the LA Police Department because the LA Police Department was told not to do anything. Sheriff's department was like, we're cleaning it up. Started with Venice Beach, moved them all out. That shamed the city into doing enough to say, okay, we have to stop this. I mean, and these homeless are taking over entire sidewalks, entire underpasses, entire parks, and including standing in front of people's houses all day, camping in front of people's houses, burning warehouses down, starting fires, all the big forest fires here, with the exception of the PE and G one, which is a down power line. All the big fires are started by homeless people. It's not climate change, it's homeless people. So they finally clean these people out, right? And there's still a ton of them, by the way, because you move them and they come right back. But at least the mega tent cities that had moved out. And guess what the LA City Council just did? They voted 10-3 to remove restrictions on camping in these public spaces in Hollywood and Silver Lake and an Echo Park, 3 cities in LA. Silver Lake was by the way, the park that was entirely taken over by homeless, where you could not walk through it without stepping on needles, stepping in human shit. People are fighting. People are dying all the time. It was a completely unsafe Mad Max environment. And they want to bring it all back. People are furious. And of course, guess who's leading the charge? A DSA member that's on the LA City Council. Of course it is. On top of that, we recently had an LA council, and I can't remember exactly what it is, Energy Commission, put a new law into place that you're not allowed to buy replacement tires for your car after, I think there's a six-year period where all the tires that are coming in now that you're allowed to buy for your car now have to go through special regulations and be, X, Y, and Z check marks, which of course is going to, by the way, eliminate a lot of tire replacement businesses like the one that's just up the street from me. Great guys who I get all my tires from. Used tires. You're not going to be able to get your used tires anymore. Nope, you got to buy brand new government sanctioned tires. And we're told that somehow this is going to bring gas prices down because of the efficiency of the tires. Bullshit. California gas prices are high because of regulation, because of taxation, and because of stupidity of government. And somehow we're being told now that this new law, which by the way was 20 years old, 20 years, they drugged this thing out and now just voted to push it through. 20-year-old law, we're being told is going to lower gas prices. Are you telling me that the gas price lowering that's theoretically going to happen here is going to even out the fact that I can no longer buy a tire for $60 as a replacement, and now I have to buy a brand new tire that's going to be $120? No, in no way, shape, or form. I mean, people governing deep blue cities are absolutely the enemy of the people. And they work hand in hand with the media in these deep blue cities because every article written is how this new tire law will help gas prices on emissions. It doesn't talk about how new tire law will put businesses completely out of business, will cost everybody thousands more replacing their tires over the course of a car's lifetime. And who does this all impact the most? These people that the Democrats pretend to care about. The working man. Well, guess who gets fucked the most by expensive tires and high gas prices? Yes, the same working people that are driving to do, your gardening, that are driving to do your mechanic work, that are driving to do your construction work, they're driving to do all these lower level jobs that you people say that you care about. The nurses that are traveling around doing care, the hospital workers, the hospitality people, the waiters and waitresses. These are the people that need that low gas price and need cheap tires, and you've just made everything far more expensive for them. Name me one time the government has gotten involved on a regulatory matter and it's made anything cheaper. It doesn't exist. All right. Well, my dentist's office is calling me, so I have to take my daughter in for an appointment. I'll have to call them back. All right. Last thing, and then we will call it a day, was that a media company, and this is just unbelievable. So a polling company called Median Strategies released a poll that said that Karen Bass was leading Nithya Raman. Now, Karen Bass is the current LA mayor. She is a fucking idiot. She's a complete incompetent in every possible way. And of course, a trained Marxist. Well, she's leading the actual Democrat socialist candidate who somehow managed to ballot drop thousands and thousands and thousands of votes in order to push Spencer Pratt out of the mayoral race. And of course, this all came from ballot harvesting within the Skid Row ghetto area where all the homeless people live, because Nithya Raman ran a homeless NGO. She's one of the grifters I was talking about. So the poll got released saying that Karen Bass was leading her by a ton and that most of the votes for Karen Bass came from Spencer Pratt voters. Now, number one, people voting for Spencer Pratt hate Karen Bass and Nithya Raman. I guess eventually you say, oh, you have to vote for one of them, don't you? Well, I don't know. I'll probably write in Spencer Pratt personally. But this poll turned out to be bullshit. Because the LA Times, a guy named Noah Goldberg at the LA Times, looked at this poll and he goes, this doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to anybody. But it got widely reported. Somehow, even Spencer Pratt was tweeting about it, going, what are you talking about? I'm sure my voters are not going for Karen Bass. So he calls them up and he goes, can I talk to your polling people? This doesn't add up. Can you show me how you did the polls? Show me your numbers. Company goes, nah, we made it up. Just made it up. Social experiment. Now, I want to know more about Median Strategies. This was just created. A new media company, Median Strategies, just created. Now, the question is, created by who? Created by whom? Because clearly, it was created by some think tank, some operative group in order to adjust the polls. And they said as much. Well, it was a social experiment. We wanted to see how, false polls could influence the media environment and adjust people's thinking. Yeah, no shit. You put out a fake poll. Our idiot media here ran with it without doing any due diligence except for the LA Times. I'll give them credit here for once in my life. except for the LA Times. Yeah, that's pretty effed up. The fact that people can just blindly accept these polls, and the fact that now, seeing how effective this was in getting attention, how are we supposed to trust any polls, which were already dubious to begin with? But it goes to show you every single tact, every single underhanded, just despicable act that can be taken by operatives within the Democrat Party, within the DSA, wherever it is, because it clearly doesn't help Spencer Pratt to do this. He's already out of the race. So it's someone on that Democrat side, most likely the DSA, and most likely DSA funded, because we know a lot of their money comes from, rich and powerful people. And a lot of these people come from money. Like the DSA's vice chair, who had just got published, his parents gave him a $1.5 million bungalow or a townhouse in New York. Amazing how these Nepo babies are always the ones out there leading the charge for socialism and to take all of our privacy, take all of our privilege away, take all of our money away, completely rejigger the system when they themselves have never dealt with a single ounce of hardship. It was like the other chick that got all this media attention for being a DCA squatter when her father is like some mega, 6-time Grammy winner. Just, there is no faith that you should have in media, in polls, almost anything. As I said, we're in a post-reality world where you have to stop and think and evaluate every piece of information that is put in front of you. Before you automatically retweet, give a hot take, do whatever on anything, stop, think about it, use some Occam's razor here. Who's the most likely beneficiary? What's the most likely outcome? Who's the most likely to benefit from the situation? Who could have funded it? Who's the end? What's the end goal here? Does this even make sense in a logical world? You can't trust anything. So I'll reemphasize this. Talk to your friends and neighbors. Get to know your community. Ask the people around you what they think. That's the way we used to do things. Can you believe it? That's the way we used to do things in life. We used to actually talk to people and go, what do you think about this? This seems a little weird to me. Before you go out there shooting your mouth off, tweeting about it, and proclaiming this, that, or the other, or God forbid, holding your baby and saying, boy, I wish I could strangle you. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you watching. Check us next week. Don't forget, you can buy my game, Woke Word Wars, on Amazon. It's a lot of fun. See a few people bought that recently. Thanks for that. All right. That's it. From me, Brian McWilliams, from the Lions Liberty Network, and from Mean Age Daydream. Keep those electric eyes on me, babe, and keep that ray gun to my head. I will talk to you.